Okay, so this is going to be a super quick tutorial on mitering corners, on how to finish corners nicely when you're hemming. So this is actually the headpiece of a winged coif that I'm making as part of a workshop. And what we're doing is we're tucking in the edges at each other, and we're going to do stab stitches to finish that off. But here we get to the corner, and what's ultimately going to happen is we're going to have both sides are going to be folded in towards each other. Right, and I can show you how that looks here on this already folded and finished piece. So you have that, see that nice corner? Okay, so how do we create that? So what I do, stay in camera, Rachel. What I do is I create the fold on both corners, and I use my fingers because it's linen, so I can really get away with this, to actually create lines basically from the folds. So now I can see the corner that's going to be mitered, and do that on this other side. Just fold that in. So we have the folds on both edges, and then when you open it up, you can see this little square has been created by these two folds. And I'm just going to cut diagonally across that square. I'm going to cut like that. So I'm getting rid of some excess fabric basically. And then I do that on the other side. Trim across diagonally. Right, so now I have actually properly pinned my way to the corner. So you can see it works a lot better when everything's all secure, and all you really have to worry about is the corner rather than everything else. So here are, let's go ahead and do this properly this time. So I'm going to fold that little edge in, so that we end up with our diagonal, like so. And again, your fingers have quite a bit of pressure and heat, so you can use them to sort of finger iron that corner in place. Okay. And I will put a pin in there just to secure it while I deal with the other side. Fold in my little corner. So if I didn't fold it in, if I did not miter this corner properly, if I didn't fold it in, you would end up with one side completely overlapping the other, right? So the idea is, and then you end up possibly with this little bit sticking out. So this is why we're mitering this corner. I therefore, again, take that one corner and fold it under so that we end up with a diagonal. So I'm going to use my fingers to press it into place. And then I match up the two corners. And this is where you may have to play around a little bit to get the right amount of corner, because ideally these should line up more or less perfectly. So you may have to undo one of the corners and redo it a little bit to get it to align. So for instance, you can actually see this corner protrudes out a little asymmetrically. Okay, so I'm going to deal with that corner here. Or no, I'm not going to deal with that corner. Maybe, we'll see. I'm going to deal with one corner or the other, and you may have to come to a reasoned decision as to which corner you're going to deal with. And in fact, that is the corner that on this coif has a reinforcing band of linen in it, so I'm going to leave that one as my marker, my basis for what I want this corner to look like, because it's harder to manipulate 4 or 5 layers of linen than it is to manipulate 2. So what that means is I am going to take that pin out. I'm going to scoot this little edge out a bit, like so, so that this lines up a little bit better with that one. So basically you should undo all of your everything to get it to line up better. Okay, that looks to me like a better job of that. So put my pin back in to secure that. And now I'm going to try the mitering again. And I'm going to line it up a little bit better on that side. Okay, so basically I'm just going to fold a lot less in than I did before. Flip this over so you can see what I'm doing down here. Right, so I've got the edges created. Just double checking to make sure those corners seem to align before mitering, because generally before mitering should look the way it will after mitering, and that seems to be decent this time. So now I will proceed with folding that little corner under to create my diagonal. And now I will line them up and see how that goes. And they line up a lot better this time. Good enough for me at any rate. Put my pin in. And actually, probably, to be really good about this, I would put the pin in through the diagonal here. Like that. Okay, well, there we have our mitered and matched corners. Sorry, I keep going off camera because it's showing backwards and I'm confused. Well, that is your not as quick as I hoped it would be tutorial on mitering.